Well, howdy, Facebook. It is Wednesday evening, Storm Alert Center evening edition on wrapping up the month of April almost, the 27th day of April, 2022. We're going to talk about the weather real quickly, and then we're going to bring up the anniversary of something that happened 51 years ago tonight. Thursday, tomorrow, it's going to be the best day for the next few days. We're going to see sunny skies and a little bit warmer temperatures tomorrow with highs around 70 degrees. Clouds move back in the area on Friday. Temperatures will still remain around 70. And then we go into toward more the end of the week. We'll have a chance of some isolated thunderstorms on Friday night, Saturday, 30% chance of some showers and thunder showers around the area, and then rain chances will continue on Sunday. Temperatures will be moderating up into the middle 70s on Sunday. So tomorrow going to be a good day across the area. Clouds move in Friday with 70 the high. Chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly the evening hours, and then a little chance of some showers and maybe a storm on Saturday, and showers continue into the day on Sunday. Those will be isolated in nature. So 51 years ago, we'll talk about that here in just a second. We want to talk about our sponsors, first of all, that brings the Storm Alert Center to you, the fine folks at Champion Repair Service on 127 North on Fields Road. Give Miles Wilson a call at 270-507-0514. Joe Brown's Auto Body at 270-384-0422. In Columbia, give Joe Brown a call if you have need for towing service, maybe you work on your vehicle, paint or whatever you might need. Call Joe, 384-0422. McKinley Auction Company in Russell Springs, there next to the Russell County Hospital, 270-866-6900, 270-866-6900. Specialize in all types of auction needs. That is McKinley Auction Company. 51 years ago tonight, persons in south central Kentucky, mainly Adair and Russell County, suffered a huge tornado that came through. Initial ratings of that storm by Dr. Ted Fujita was an F5. That was before the EF scale came along. Later kind of downsized to the F4, but it was a huge tornado. Took several lives and destroyed a lot of property. We told all about that the best that we could. Back last year at the 50th anniversary of the tornado event with a book that we made popular in the community. Still have a few of those available. And it was a horrible night across the area. One of the things that stick out the most in my mind is Elder Lilburn Hart. He was a Baptist minister that lived right there in downtown Salem. His home suffered some damage from the tornado that went through. Of course, destroyed the school, or did significant damage to the school. And they asked Brother Lilburn, after the storm had passed, there's a minister said, well, said Brother Hart, said, I guess whenever the tornado came and you sought shelter in the basement, he said, I guess there was a lot of praying going on. And Brother Lilburn said, it wasn't a time to pray, it was a time to trust. And I still recall his son, Randy, standing, I believe we may have been on the inside of Salem Church when I was doing the book. But I remember him telling me that, and I said, that is going to be the front title of the book, of the April 27th, 1971 tornado. And it was, the book went together well, and we covered a lot. I've learned a lot, and since that happened, a few errors here and there. I think someone mentioned on Facebook that we got a name wrong, and I apologize for that. But we did the very best we could and tried to keep everything as factual as possible. But 51 years ago tonight, the people in Salem, the people in Adair County suffered a tremendous loss up around the Gosser Ridge community, Salem, Irvin Store, where Bulin and Dealey Swanson died. In the Mount Pleasant community of Adair County, I think there was like 6 people died in that area. So it was a horrible night for those people. And not only do we recognize the April 27th, 71 tornado, we also reflect back to the April 27th tornado that went through parts of Alabama. They're also remembering night of tornadoes that took several lives. And it was a generational outbreak of tornadoes in that area. At one point, 2 or 3 significant storms were moving through Alabama. And based on the way that we have warning information now, and compared to what it was like in 1971, we're very fortunate. And we're blessed that no more people were killed or hurt in that tornado that moved through Adair and Russell County. We brought out a lot of things in that tornado, in that event, that showed where the tornado touched down initially in Russell County. We had it documented in Adair County, but we placed the touchdown on Breckenridge Road, and a lot of the news sources from back then, for whatever reason, maybe because of technology or whatever, nothing was mentioned about those areas on Breckenridge Road, along the Kearns, I think Forrest Kearns resident. Nothing mentioned about that in the 71 archives. So I think that the book that we put together kind of solidified a lot of questions. And one of the people that I want to say a big thank you to was Tony Wilson. I would gladly claim him as kin, because we worked many, many hours on looking at aerial photos and Google Maps, trying to ascertain the direction and the path of that storm as it moved through, and we were able to do so. And it varied a little bit, well, in fact, quite a bit on what I had initially planned the track and where it went through as it traveled into the Salem area and Fairview up on West or East Highway 80. So we were able to determine a lot of things, including where it's likely that the tornado was a multiple vortex tornado, and that happened just outside of Russell Springs, near those little campsite that they had there on Highway 80. And we figured out that was the area where it became 2 tornadoes based on, or 2 funnel clouds that developed and was tornadoes in that area. Of course, the smaller one back on the south side of 80 fell in mostly wooded area. So thankfully, no one was suffered loss as a result of that particular tornado structure that went down. As it crossed Highway 80, of course, it hit Randy Woolridge's store, moved on up, took I think the front porch off of Roger and Janice Popwell's home, and it was found in the side of, let me see, I was trying to remember. It was found on, did it hit the side of maybe Paul Wilson's house? Now, I'm not sure, but they found it up probably a mile and a half up the road where it was slammed into a home. It did a lot of damage, and people were suffering that day as that storm moves through. Of course, McCarroll family and Ivan L. Smith and her husband Dewey and the Froge family. It was a horrible night for the people 51 years ago today. Many still remember. I recall being at just a little boy at the time, and we had gone to visit my great aunt and uncle. They lived up in the Eli community of Russell County, and I remember coming out of the house, and I asked my mom and dad if I could ring the dinner bell. That was probably 9:15 or so when we left. I said, could I ring this dinner bell? Of course, it was late of a night, and I was denied that opportunity. But on the way out, we came to Highway 910. And you could look back on what was Cumberland Parkway, and you could see the continual lightning. And it was just from one place to another, low hanging clouds. It was a kind of an eerie thing, and I remember it very well. But as we went home, we went to bed, and the next morning I remember my grandmother, my Granny Wilson, who lived across the road from us, she came and knocked on the door. And she said, is everybody all right? Of course, Mom and Daddy said, yeah. I said, we're fine. We don't have any electricity. She says, well, said there'd been a bad storm that went through last night, and said people's been hurt and really bad, and some of them, and there's people died from the storm. And so I remember going up to Kurt Gosser's store, right there in ground zero of where the tornado went through. And it was a horrible sight to see. I still remember that. And looking at the damage and everything caused me to become interested in severe weather and tornadoes and everything. And that's why that I'm here tonight, is because of a fascination of this type of weather. That's why that I've studied it endlessly from the time that I was old enough to understand, maybe not the technical parts of it, but I found interest in that. And that's what brings you and me together, the nearly 21,000 people. And I had no idea as a little boy, walking around with no followers except my parents, that storm would end up leading me to lead a community and a following of 21,000 people almost on social media. But we're very, very thankful and appreciative to each one who follows us and who places their trust and their confidence in us for weather coverage. It's something I can't say, all of that time has been spent working toward the community, but I can say that was the the inspirational tool. That and the 74 tornado, when we laid in the basement listening to Welby Hoover on WJ, I guess that would have been WJRS, the FM station, back in the day as the storms moved through Pulaski County. And I recall well how green the sky looked before those tornadoes came through. It was a horrible night there. One storm after another moved through that evening on April 3rd, 1974. The severe weather outbreak in May of '84 was the first severe weather coverage that I remember participating in on the radio. I was with Welby Hoover and Jeff, and I think it was about a 3-day ordeal. Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday, and Monday night. And we had severe weather everywhere. We had flooding. I think the roof of Pulaski County High School collapsed. The Sullivans that lived on East Highway 80 had a barn destroyed, and it was just one storm after another. And the odd thing about that, we had no technology. And I'm sorry if I'm running over, but I think we'll talk about this for a minute and then go on. But the technology we had back in the day, it allowed us to hear a bell ring. It rang, I believe, 4 times when it was a warning. And we would go outside into the hallway to where the teletype was mounted up on the wall. And the bell would ring, and you'd go out there, and it was basically line after line, just a slow go from left to right, right to left. And it would start out National Weather Service, Louisville, Kentucky. It would give the time and the date, and it would say, it would be ... tornado warning ... And then you had to wait for all the information to come through that the National Weather Service in Louisville has issued a tornado warning effective until whatever time for the following counties. And that took probably 3 minutes to run. And then it would give the counties and the location. My job starting out was being the retriever of that. And I was the messenger. And I remember the first time I was on the secondary microphone in the station and giving out a warning. That was so awesome, because I remembered, just a few years before that, hearing that on the radio, and now to be part of that live for the people in the community was really great. But tonight we reflect on the 71 tornado that went through Adair and Russell County, destroyed a lot of property, claimed lives, and we just want to remember those people many times that are not thought of, that suffered and gave a huge sacrifice of their life because of that. Now, as we close, I want to share one final thought. And this is something that a lot of people don't take serious. And I have talked about this many, many times. And that is the fact that we have a lot of complacency in the world of weather. And a lot of people says, well, it's not going to get bad, or the storm's not going to get bad, it's not going to hit us, it always goes here, it always goes there. A lot of people depend on the outdoor warning sirens for protection. My friends, if you have the siren mentality, you are placing yourself and your family at risk if there's a bad storm that comes up. It's not meant to warn you indoors at all. And, you know, even outdoor, they're not predictable. They're not dependable, you know. And when we sit down at the microphone right here and disseminate the warnings and the information on significant weather events, it is a time to take notice and to take advantage of the warnings. Because I coined a phrase several years ago. If when the storm clouds pass and there's twisted metal, broken timbers, and glass around us, may everyone be accounted for and the loss of life be none. And that would also include injuries. You know, we have the technology here to know when the storms are coming, when they're approaching, if they're severe or not, and if there's a tornado inside that thunderstorm with 95% accuracy. And we are here. The Weather Service says an active weather pattern is expected this spring that will move into the middle part of June. And here we are at the near the end of April. We still have a month and a half, maybe 2 months left to go. We have no idea if that will happen, but I want everybody to be weather aware, be proactive. You know, I have preached, and some people says, why do you go at it so hard? Why do you make it so serious? Well, first of all, there's a vast majority of the people. I'm talking about in general, not just our area. You can tell people there's a storm coming, and they say, "Well, I don't think it ain't gonna hit. It's not gonna be. I'll be all right." Blah, 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 blah. It's going to get somebody in trouble one day. Now, one of the things that we have a problem with is the number of storm warnings that are issued when nothing happens. And that is very, very, very troublesome, that we fall into a dead radar area. And basically it's looking up 1 mile above the ground. And when I say all of these things, I say them with a desire for people to pay attention to what we give. And if the Weather Service says a severe thunderstorm warning, we're going to give that severe thunderstorm warning. But whenever our technology shows that there is a severe storm approaching, or there is a tornado approaching, then we're going to up the game a little bit. And I'm going to say, look, our information says that you need to seek shelter. A few weeks ago, it was given out 60-mile-an-hour winds and hail 1 inch in diameter. We didn't have that here. And I'm afraid the next warning that we issue, it's going to be the real deal. And people are not going to pay any attention to it because people have cried wolf. But I want to close by saying thank you to all the people in our coverage area, the people that's tuned in and who put their trust and confidence in the Storm Alert Center. I want to say thank you all from the bottom of my heart on behalf of Storm Anchor Keith Richardson. I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for what you do to support us and to our sponsors. You guys are the heartbeat and the lifeline of severe weather coverage in Russell and surrounding counties. We still think of, and we will continue to post warnings for some of the counties outside of this area. But our main listening audience, our main market area is Russell County and surrounding areas. That's where our heart is. That's where we're looking at. And if there's something major that happens elsewhere that we need to go there, not saying we won't do it, but we want to be faithful and put all of our resources toward the people that we mentioned, Russell and surrounding counties. And, if there's something major happening somewhere else, we'll probably break in and let people know about it. But we say thank you very much from the bottom of our heart for making the Storm Alert Center your weather authority in this region. We love you all. We appreciate you. And I'm sorry that we've gone on so long and rambled, but hopefully that you received a little bit of information that'll help you and one that will help us go forward into making the Storm Alert Center your resource. Tell your family and friends to go to stormalertcenter.com. We have our YouTube video there that will go on when we're live. Does not require Facebook. And tell everybody about that. That way people can have another resource for severe weather coverage in this area. Thank you all very much for tuning in. It's been an odd one, but this is the Storm Alert Center Evening Edition here from the Storm Alert Center, your weather authority.